Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. This is Rose AJ with the Carnivore Connection coming to you with another fabulous story of transformation. Leah is here with me today in the studio. Y'all know I like to be talking about this is a studio, y'all. We on the big screen here at the Carnivore Connection, okay? So where we have soulful and heartfelt conversations on. All right, Leah, go ahead and talk to us about your journey, why you're here, whatever you want to talk about.
So I guess I could start with my journey into the carnivore way of eating really kind of started back in early 2017. I've always been someone that's been interested in health and wellness. And a lot of it is because my friends and family, we're dealing with a lot of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and so forth. And so in 2017, I started having my own health complications, and one of it was actually ulcerative colitis that started it. And so when I was diagnosed with it, the doctors, they give you certain medications that you're supposed to take, but it was making my symptoms worse. And so as they were trying to figure out what worked for me, what ended up happening is I was thinking that I was healing, but then I found out that I really wasn't healing. And so I decided to go on a journey to try and find out, how I could actually do it holistically. And at that time, I had, dabbled a little bit into trying to be a vegetarian, and found that I was doing it wrong, because it was making me sick. And when I say sick, I mean more like I wasn't eating the right foods that I was supposed to be eating so that my body could actually process it. And then I also dabbled a little bit in being a vegan as well, but I like my meat. So I stopped doing that. And then I actually found keto. And it was because I was listening to, some of the YouTube channels that were out there, which included like Dr. Berry, Ken Berry, Dr. Boz, Dr. Chaffee. And so I was listening to some of the people that they were interviewing and also going on their lives and asking questions. And I don't know how other people feel, but it's kind of refreshing when you ask a question and they put you on the screen and they actually answer the question. But because I was still a little skeptical, I really didn't follow some of their guidance. But I had seen people that were transforming. So I then decided, let me go ahead and start studying health on my own. And so I felt that by studying it on my own and becoming a health coach, I could then not only heal myself, but also help others. And I found myself really being more entrenched in helping others and forgetting about me. And so what ended up happening is I ended up getting certified, my first certification. And, that was pretty cool. And I was all excited, but I always felt like something's missing. And so then I went again and got a different certification. And I started learning about the anatomy and how the systems of the body works, which was exciting. But it still wasn't fulfilling for me. I was still missing that piece of being healed. And so I ended up taking a 21-day challenge with Dr. Boz. And during that challenge, I learned a lot about how keto should work. And it actually felt good. But, when you finish something, if you don't have any place to land, then you just kind of keep going downhill. And that's kind of what happened. I didn't really have a place to land. And truth be told, I didn't see anybody that looked like me. And that was my missing link. I'm like, well, I'm here with a lot of people that are doing keto. A lot of them were older than me. a lot of them had different ailments than me. And so I still wasn't feeling like, is this really going to work for me? I don't fit. And so, luckily, just recently, I started seeing where there were more African Americans, blacks out there who were actually doing carnivore. So they started coming to the forefront, and that really helped me because then I was able to say, "Oh, look, we really are doing it." Because the first person I saw was the Black Carnivore, so I was watching her videos and following her, and then I started finding there's a lioness group that has a YouTube channel out there. I started following those ladies, and that's how I found you, Rose, because somebody had did your interview. And so then after watching that, I decided, hey, this is a good place for me to connect. And that's how I ended up with the Carnivore Connection. So now I'm still on my trying to go on my journey of being a carnivore. And to be honest with you, I'm not fully carnivore. I do some keto, but some days I actually do full carnivore. And I've also found that it works for me. And it works for me so much so that the symptoms that I was having with my ulcerative colitis have now stabilized enough to where the medication I'm on less of it. Because there was a point last summer where I actually was on one of the prescriptions, and honestly, I can't even tell you what happened last summer because I was in so much pain and I just wasn't feeling good. I had a bad reaction to that medication. So my whole last summer is just a blur to me. But, it was kind of scary because, I'm used to helping people and doing things, but I was to the point where I could barely move. I was in so much pain. My joints were starting to turn purple. And so even my husband was like, "What's going on?" And I said, the only thing that's changed is this new medication. And so I said, I'm not taking it anymore. And I had a friend of mine who's a doctor. I've seen him for 20 years. He's a chiropractor. When he saw me, he's like, "What's going on, Leah?" And I'm saying that in a nice way. And so he actually is the one that told me I was having an allergic reaction to the medication. And he helped me basically get it out of my system and be able to really walk and function like back to normal. And so I said, no more. I'm going to do this my way, and I know what I need to do. And so here I am on my carnivore journey at the beginning of it. And I'm pretty excited. I just finished doing like a 7-day where I was as strict as I could possibly be with carnivore. And I feel really good now that I'm done with it.
All right, that is so wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Miss Leah. So I do want to ask you, can you explain what ulcerative colitis is for those
Mm-hmm.
of us that may not know?
Okay. So most people have probably heard of irritable bowel disease, not syndrome, it's disease. And with irritable bowel disease, there's both ulcerative colitis and Crohn's. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, with Crohn's affects the entire digestive system. I think I might get that wrong, but I think that's how that works. But with ulcerative colitis, it's only affecting, I think it's the small intestine down. And so, so your body is basically developing ulcers in your colon. And they could be triggered by food or other types of substances.
So, how did you know that you were having issues? What were some of your symptoms before you got diagnosed?
My symptoms, well, as I think back, it would have started with acid reflux for me. And then all of a sudden it was like my bowels changed, so it more frequency, more urgency. And then because of that, that's what prompted me to go to my primary, who referred me to a gastroenterologist.
Good, good. So were you hoping that the symptoms would go away, or did you act immediately, piecing things together and saying something isn't right? I need to go to my doctor and go forth from there?
I was hoping it would go away, but it just seemed to get worse. And so then as it, got worse and worse, then that's when my doctor started doing the tests and then sent me
Okay.
over to the gastro doctor.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. So, if I can delve a little bit deeper, maybe into your food history. Like for me, my eating disordered eating started when I was 3.5 as a result of childhood trauma and abuse, right? So I can track it back to 3.5, just really crazy types of eating, dieting, the whole nine. Are you able to pinpoint when your history, your weight history, or maybe your love for certain foods began?
I couldn't. I tried to do that, and because when I was a child, I mean, I ate pretty much anything, and I think the only thing that as I got older, I noticed that I was starting to have more food sensitivities. So I had first started did my first food sensitivity test in 2004, and it came up with that I was allergic to all these foods, and it shocked me because a lot of these foods I had just eaten, but I didn't have a reaction to it. And so then when I did my next test, which was probably about maybe 4 years later, there were even more. So a good example would be like shrimp. For when they tested shrimp for me, it was off the charts. And it was like, and I had just had shrimp the night before. And so I literally, because of that, and because it was so traumatic just doing the test, I mean, you're sitting there when they prick your skin and I feel it swelling like a mosquito bite. I said, no shrimp. But now, which is odd, I can eat shrimp.
Oh my goodness. So if you were tested and said that you were allergic, is it allergic to shrimp?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I was allergic.
What? So what would compel you to try it again?
So I went back to the allergist, and the allergist. So the first time they did the prick where they prick your skin. The second time when I went, he said, we're going to do a blood test. And with the blood test, because I guess the blood test um, is a better determinant of what you're allergic to. And because of the levels, he said to me if I could try it and see what happened. So I have my EpiPen, and I've never, had that anaphylactic shock or none of that. And so I did. So this last time when I went to the allergist, I actually ate it in the office just in case. And that's how we came to determine that I could eat shrimp. I don't eat it a lot, but just by doing the test and being aware of just what are your food sensitivities, and I asked for the test. They
Good.
didn't tell me I needed to be tested. I asked for it because I was really trying to figure out what was causing my flares.
Mhm.
And I knew that milk was something that I was sensitive to. And and watching, I think it was Dr. Berry's video about us not supposed to be drinking milk, it kind of helped me pinpoint, okay, well, maybe it's the milk or the dairy, but I like my cheese, you know. I like my ice
Okay, so aside from shrimp, you being tested with blood and the skin pricks, what were some of the other foods that you were allergic to, but you may have reintroduced?
cream. So some of the other foods included, well, soy, corn, um, So I would sometimes eat popcorn, but like whole kernel corn or corn on the cob, I don't eat. The other thing, like I said, soy. There was tree nuts, and ironically, it was um, all tree nuts except for cashews. And
Okay.
so I'll eat like pecans sometimes. I'll eat cashews sometimes. And I don't eat walnuts. Walnuts was my worst.
Okay.
And they said eggs. Well, I eat eggs every day.
I was about
So,
to say, girl, eggs are my lifeline. They're my pacifier.
yeah,
They're my filler. They're my side dish, right?
exactly. So I eat like 2 or 3 eggs every day. But that was one of them. And so and I think that was those were the major ones.
Okay. Okay. So, do you find that your health condition is getting better or has it stabilized with you transitioning into a new way of life as far
It's
as from keto trying to go into carnivore?
yeah, it's definitely better. Um, so one of the things that they usually say is I'm supposed to eat a lot of leafy greens and fibrous foods, and so I translate that discussion to tell them, you're telling me to eat them, but those are the things that make me worse. And so I've learned that for me, just eating more protein, more meats, that my body craves that. And when I was sick, when I had that episode with the medication, that was really the only thing that I could eat. And so that's how I knew, okay, this is what my body is telling me. This is what it needs. This is the nourishment it needs. And I have more energy and everything with that. So
Yes, nice. So earlier you mentioned that you were wanting to learn about the body. You took up some coaching programs and anatomy and everything, and you found yourself helping others more than helping yourself during that. Can you tell us a little bit about that, what that looked like for you?
so I had started, I'd say in 2008, I had came to realization that a lot of people were always coming to me and asking me questions or just sharing with me the things that were going on with them. And so I realized then that that was one of my passions. I really liked helping people. And so I ended up um, doing some ministerial studies and actually getting certified as a minister. And so then I went to seminary. It was one of those things where my husband was going, and I said, I'm not going to go. But I had a really good mentor that kept telling me, so you're going too, right? And I said, no, I'm not going. He's going. And so finally I went and I got my master's of ministry leadership.
Wow.
Um, and so I realized that it was, I went for the leadership because I do like to help other people succeed in life and, just have that extra push that they needed. So with the coaching, because I enjoy learning about health and wellness, I decided to go and learn what it is to be a coach and, how do I help people. But I'm one of those people where it's like, well, how can I coach other people when I still have my own struggle? I have my own journey. And so I realized through taking the courses that it was also a way where I could help myself.
Yes.
And so I still found that pattern where I was still worried about other people, and when I say other people, it's mostly my close friends and family. So they tell me this is what I'm going through, and I'm the one that would go research it. And
Okay.
so finally, I said, you know what, Leah? While they're going through their journey, you still need to heal, and you can't help them until you help yourself. You know how they say, put your mask on first before you put
Yes.
somebody else's on. So
Yes.
that's kind of
Yes.
where I'm at right now, putting my
Right
own mask
on.
on and helping myself. And then I share, because then I'm the walking testimony. So if it works for me, then it's going to work for them, hopefully.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Do you find as you are on this path that you're on now, that other people are asking you about your journey, what it is that you're doing, and how can they get on the bandwagon as well? Or do they tend to ask you what you're doing and then just go the other way and leave it alone?
Usually they go the other way and leave it alone. But I've learned that my job is just to plant the seed.
Hmm.
So I can tell them what I'm doing and I can tell them what I've learned. But it's up to them to get in their heads that, maybe this is something I need to try. And so then and I'll keep reminding them, I'll keep planting those seeds, and sprinkling a little water on them until they're ready. And when they're ready, I'm there to, okay, let's go.
Right on. So, with your education and certifications, and you're finding that you're able to help yourself as well as perhaps help others on their journey, what has been like the most important part of the education that you've been applying to your current lifestyle? Is it like the knowledge, or is it like a system that you've learned? What are you using from your
From,
education?
so for the education, the book piece is great, but I like hearing other people's stories, because if I can connect somebody, if I can connect the person to see somebody else's story that's going through what they're going through or what I'm going through, then it makes it more a reality. So here's a perfect example. So I've tried pretty much every weight loss program out there in the world, you name it, because I'm
Well,
like,
give us a couple of examples of what those are. I don't want to make an assumption.
no, okay. So I've tried, I go all the way back to Metabolife, to FinFin. I've done South Beach, the South Beach diet. I've done Fat Smash. Um, you name it. I've Weight Watchers. I even tried LA Fitness. I mean, not LA Weight Loss is what I think it's called. LA Weight
Okay.
Loss. And I never really, really got involved in it because I told the person that I was allergic to tree nuts, and she said, "Well, try it anyway." Yeah. so I ended up coaching her and saying, you know, I think this is what you really should have said to me. And I said, because if I had have tried this and had a reaction, you'd be in trouble.
Mhm.
But so those are some of the things that I've tried. And truth be, South Beach and Fat Smash, those types of diets, I started cross referencing them to
Uh-huh.
see what do they have in common. The ones that I was really successful with, um, those are the ones that I said, okay, I know that my body does well with meat or with poultry or seafood. My body does well with maybe fruits and vegetables at that time. So I said, that's the commonality. And that's really what I need to look. So anyway, so that's what I did.
Okay.
And so, but like I said, I started looking at, how were other people? I would do a search, a Google search or a YouTube search, and I'm always looking for like carnivore ulcerative colitis, so that I could find those testimonies, those stories, so that I knew, okay, you going through what I went through, at one level or another, how did it work for you? How long did it take for you to go through what you went through? Are you taking the same medications that I'm taking? And so then that way I can connect those dots. And with Weight Watchers, I didn't succeed in that because my mentality was, I have 100 pounds to lose. You have 10. How can you really relate to what I'm going through?
So what I'm hearing you say is that it's really important for people, you to be amongst people or to see people that not only look like you, but have some of the same health conditions or that are on a similar journey as you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And you feel supported in the universe by that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So tell me, who are some of the greats that you followed? You mentioned Dr. Barry, Dr. Shafee. Who else are some of the greats or even influencers like Kelly Hogan that you follow, that you get a lot of information from that you can share with the audience? Who would you recommend?
So my biggest followers are I followed Dr. Ken Berry. I follow Annette Bosworth, Dr. Annette Bosworth. I follow Dr. Cywus. Sometimes I follow Dr. Eric Berg. And now I'm following um, Hanging with the,
The
oh,
Browns?
yes, Hanging with the Browns. I follow them. I'm following the Carnivore Grandma.
Yes.
I follow you.
Thank you. So
And
the
yeah,
carnivore grandma is Robin Heron, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I follow her. And um, oh, and Dr. Tony Hampton.
Yes,
I follow him.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. So
Um,
that's a
and
good amount of people.
yes, if you look at
Yes.
my YouTube page or my Facebook page, that's what you're gonna see.
Yes, I love it. I love it. What's one of the latest things that you've learned, let's say in the last week or so, from your YouTube people that you follow, or just even in the news? It could be about carnivore, it could be about health and wellness in general. What's one of the latest things that you've heard?
Mm,
That
I think right now I'm learning a lot about type 2 diabetes and how the carnivore way of eating helps with that. Um, I'm trying to use that on people in my family that have type 2 diabetes to see if how to make it work for them. But so that's the one thing that I'm learning right now is about that, and really learning about the different types of diabetes, because so I just recently realized that between the type 1, where they don't produce insulin, but the type
right.
2 produces too much insulin, and then they put in a
Oh,
type 3.
yes. And can you explain what the type 3 is?
So my understanding is type 3 is a person with dementia.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah. So they call that, yeah, Alzheimer's along that line, type
Alzheimer's.
3 diabetes. Yes. Yes. So knowing what you know now in comparison to maybe 2 or 3 years ago, had you have known this information 2 or 3 years ago, would you have acted upon it, do you think? Or would you have taken a while to research it before jumping in?
I probably would have taken a while before jumping in.
Yes.
Um, you know,
So what's the a while for? Is it because you wanted to research or just find some people to follow or get educated on it?
more because it's different. And so it's kind of like you're the lone person out there doing it or trying it, and for people to really take me serious of what I'm doing. And truth be told, if I never had ulcerative colitis, I probably wouldn't even venture into this area. And so they always people would say, until you go through something, you don't take action,
Right.
and or at least take it serious. And
Yeah.
so by having ulcerative colitis, I really joined a Facebook group with other people. And when I say other, there's a lot of people around the country who have it. And seeing what they're going through, and asking questions, as far as, well, what do you eat, or, what medications are you taking? I've learned so much. And even just trying to connect those dots when you were talking about the trauma, so what happened? Was I taking antibiotics which caused it, or, all kinds of things. And because of that, it's heightened my awareness. And now that I'm, while following all these greats, I'm starting to really think about, oh, wait a minute, you're talking about diabetes. I have people in my family have diabetes, and some who've passed away from diabetes or heart disease and so forth. So my awareness is heightened now.
Nice. I like that. So let me share with you just real quickly. So my journey started in 2018 after countless years. When I say countless, probably since I was 12, countless years of dieting, the roller coaster, the ups and downs, the mental health. But I was going through perimenopause and menopause, and it was shortly before my 51st birthday. And I knew I had to do something because God spoke and told me that this is the time, right? My mental health was just like in the toilet, so to speak. I was desperate enough to try anything. But with that being said, it still took me from June of 2018 using exogenous ketones, Leah, using exogenous ketones, thinking it was going to be my last ticket. This is going to be the wild ride, until December 2nd, 2018, to go down a rabbit hole to learn about ketogenic, the intermittent fasting, and to learn that our bodies can even make ketones. I was like, what? Even though I knew that, I was still caught up in the addiction of trying to solve my problem with an easy ticket out and just pay,
Yeah.
right? So I think we all come to our life-changing moments when we've hit a rock bottom or there's no other way. We've tried everything. And so I did the keto diet and intermittent fasting for a year before I jumped in to carnivore. I had heard about it and I was like, oh, those are some crazy people. Now I'm one of those crazy people because it's helped to put a lot of my personal issues into remission. Do you have anything along that caliber that you are hoping to heal or put into remission other than your number one health condition that brought you here with carnivore?
For me, my charge was always, like I said, looking at my family history and the things that happened in my family. And I always said to myself, I want to make sure that I don't have those certain diseases. And so I've always, when I fresh out of high school, I was in the gym. And that's actually when my weight started going up. Because when I was little, I wasn't a big girl. And truth be told, my parents and my grandparents, they never fed me unhealthy food. They always cooked food. My grandmother had a garden and everything. But it was, like I said, after high school, and working out rigorously. And I just kept thinking, why am I gaining weight? And I mean, I even did 5Ks, in my young adult years. And so, but I found that I always wanted, it's kind of like you were talking about the exogenous the, the ketones. Let me just say
Yes,
that.
exogenous versus endogenous.
Exogenous.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's that quick fix. You want a quick fix. And you see other people, well, how come they can do this with this quick fix? And then they tell you, well, it didn't take, you didn't gain the weight quick, so you're going to have to wait a little while and be patient to lose it. And so that's kind of where I ended up thinking, okay, it's taken me a long time to get here. It's going to take me a long time to go backwards. But the focus had to be prevention. I know I have to heal, but in the meantime, I also have to be in prevention mode and stay in prevention mode.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
and
Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
so
go
that's where
ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so
Okay.
that's where I'm at. But then the other thing I found out recently is I started looking at, connections to things. So for example, um, and I have to give the doctors on YouTube credit for this. With my medication caused my cholesterol to go up and caused my A1C to go up. But when you talk to somebody, a doctor, about that, they're like, well, let me give you this or this metformin. And I said, no, what I need you to do is look at the fine print that says this medication causes this. And I am trying to heal this holistically, carnivore with keto. And I know by doing this, my cholesterol is going to go up. But I'm looking at all those other little factors. So this year I took on that challenge of, okay, let me save up my money and actually go get an extensive blood test to really see what my body is doing. And and it was surprising. I mean, some things I was thinking was going to be worse than others. So for example, I was looking for mold to be one of the symptoms. And it wasn't as high as I thought it would be. But I had somebody tell me, I didn't realize that, like certain foods can contribute to it, or just environment. I was thinking, okay, well, maybe it's just from being in a moldy area, but it was really an eye opener to really see things that mold has. My thyroid, I was thinking that was going to be high, but it wasn't, and so, but at least now I have a better picture of everything that I could possibly think of that could go wrong.
So I think it's beautiful that you took the initiative or you advocated for yourself to get these additional tests. Did you do it on your own, or were you in conversation with your care provider to get these done, or you just did it totally separate?
It was
And
totally
got the
separate.
results? And so how did you interpret the results? Did you take them to your doctor, or did they come with like a little checklist or a little explanation with each test, or did you go online and figure them out?
So I did a master class for type 1 or type 2 diabetes. It was something like reversing diabetes. And in that class, I think her name is Dr. J. Guerrera. She offered for us to actually sign up through her to get these tests done. And so that's what I did through her. And so she actually interpreted it for me. I did actually 2 tests. And so she interpreted both of them for me. And then Dr. Berry has a book out on lab results. And so I also was looking at, well, what does this lab mean? So I use that as well.
So Dr. Berry's book is called Common Sense Labs,
Mm-hmm.
and it just breaks down everything. And I think it's in its second edition right now. I have the first one, but yes, so that's a good one, Common Sense Labs for sure. So you just went through the person that you were taking the master class with. She offered it, and you got the results from that doctor. And then in conjunction with that, if I'm understanding you, you also use Dr. Berry's Common Sense Labs to interpret everything.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, Leah, before we close out on this interview, I'd like to ask you, where do you see yourself 6 months from now pertaining to your health, your wellness, your journey as a whole? Where do you see yourself?
So I do see myself still moving forward to being as strict carnivore as I can possibly be. Things that my body says, this, I'm good, I'm in a happy position. And I told you that I did get certified as a coach. So I'm going through now the training to be a primal coach, because I think that will definitely complement my carnivore journey. And so then I can really launch my coaching business, or just launch being a coach. because like I said, I started this journey, in 2019, I retired in 2020, and now I'm getting that fire lit back under me to where it's like, I really need to take this to the next level. And the one thing that I had been passionate about is there's a lot of people out there that need help. When you see the statistics of people that just the obesity statistics, or just, any health statistics and the unhealthy, I want to be one of those people that says, I'm here. Let's do this. Let me work with you, wherever you're at, and help coach you through whatever you're going through in life and health, all that. So that's where I see myself.
It's kind of like, let's ride.
Exactly.
Okay, let's ride.
Exactly.
Yes, yes. I love being client centered or client focused. And, a lot of times, there might be people that have gone into this profession that I had brought up in the coaching program just recently, that a lot of times people might come into being a coach or being a dietitian or being a physician or a mental health therapist so that they could help themselves, right?
Hmm.
And I'm going to tell you that from childhood forward, I was a voracious reader. I loved Oprah, Phil Donahue, the whole nine. I was just like into self-help from a very young age. And bibliotherapy and education was my way. I didn't go to actual see a therapist or a mental health professional and whatnot. But I think a lot of good comes out of people that become healers, that have their own journeys, as well as getting educated and helping others that are like them or once were like them. And I just want to say to you, you don't have to have a completely transformed story or journey before you begin coaching. Because as I tell people a lot of times, I'm just one step, maybe two steps ahead of them, but we're locking arms and doing this together your
Exactly.
way. It's not my way. I'm only here to help, provide a buffer every now and again and tell you you've got this, right?
Yeah.
So I would hope that you don't wait until you've reached where you think you're going to be before you start coaching, because there's people out there waiting for you right now. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So what do you think about that?
I love that.
That there's
I do.
people waiting for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know they're out there.
Waiting for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was a question on one of the YouTube videos that I did the other day or the other week, that said, why can't you just share your story without talking about color? So this is my thing. I grew up in a military family. I grew up all around with all sorts of people, right? All kinds of people. But I can tell you from childhood forward, there was not a lot of people that looked like me, right? From Barbie dolls to Wonder Woman to whoever. There wasn't a lot of people that looked like me. And it's just a different vibe when you see someone who looks like you, or who's representing, or who's somebody that you hope to aspire to be. It's not that you're going to become them, but you get that nod, that little flow, like, yeah, girl. So I get it when somebody says that they don't understand. They don't understand because they've not walked in the same shoes that maybe I or you have. And
Hmm.
it's nice to see that we can lock arms as women 50 and older, but also as women of color, also maybe as grandmothers or single women, whatever it is. You need to have someone that looks like you to
Hmm.
role model what is possible. Would you agree with that?
I do. It's you
Yeah.
feel connected. I mean, I feel connected with the people that are my age, no matter what race they are. But it's just it's kind of like when you think about food. You know, your culture, the food that you eat in your culture, can be different. Some cases they can be the same, but some cases they're different. And so when you're talking about something, some people just don't understand it. They try and they say they do, but do they really? You know, And I, I'm willing to help. I help anybody. But
Yeah.
I just feel like sometimes you at least need a few, if any, in your
Right.
group, in your tribe, to say, okay, here's my tribe, and I have something for everybody, and
Right.
that's where I'm
Right.
at. And so I said, it was like I had to go searching and look, and this is like, well, is this really for me or is it not? And then when the floodgates opened, it was like, yeah, this is for me.
Yeah.
I'm on the right path, and there's other people I could talk to about this.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why I'm committed to showing up on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram to be a voice for the carnivore community, for women that are 50 years old and older, and for women that look like me and you, right?
Mhm.
So I think we all have a part to play, and whether we want to do it now, next week, or next year, it's up to us. But we do have a part to play in this story about carnivore and the healing journey. So, girlfriend, this is my favorite question of the whole thing. So let's pretend hypothetically um, that there's someone that has your same exact symptoms, pretty much your same age, and they're going through what they're going through. But girl, they have sat on the couch and said, I've tried everything, every medication, every diet under the sun. I have just given up. I'm going to just stay here on the couch. Leah, what words of wisdom could you give to that person or those people to help them get up off the couch and just try one more time? Just try one more time, because this may be the time that they actually succeed. So,
Mhm.
what advice could you give them, or
Time to
words of
get up.
wisdom?
It's time to get up off the couch. It may be baby steps that you take, but you get up off the couch and you keep trying. Never give up, because I was that person that thought, I'm just going to let it go. I'm just going to give up. But I said, nope. I may have fallen down, but I'm getting back up again. And if it means that I have to keep getting back up until I get it right, then that's okay. Because to me, God doesn't expect us to be perfect. And that's why he sends people like Rose, people like myself, to help lock arms with you and move forward and help you keep getting back up. We got this. We got this. And
Right.
together we will succeed.
Yes, and do not let life beat you into submission, and that's what I had did. I had
Exactly.
literally allowed life back in the day to beat me into submission, and I was like, "This is not it for me. It can't be it for me," right? But I had
Exactly.
allowed it to beat me into submission. But somewhere along the way, you have to gather the strength and just try one more time. And if you get beat up and you sit on the couch for a timeout, that's okay, because we all need a break. But get back up and do it again, like Miss Leah said.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much, Miss Leah, for being here and having this conversation and sharing your story with us today. My
Thank you
name
for
is
inviting
Rose
me.
AJ. Absolutely. So, my name is Rose AJ, the Carnivore Connection, signing out.